All right, welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to finish up this S13. Now, you guys saw when we last left off, we got the front end all buttoned up, but I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, I did show at the very end of the video that there is more room for angle, that being because, see if I can turn this baby, I don't know if the key's in it. We'll do it on the other side, hold on. So now, if you look at this lower control arm that we have here, it's just an eBay special. It's got an adjustable bump stop here to where you can kind of put shims here and then stop the tie rod from going further, just so if you're gonna over center with the rack, you can kind of shim it out and limit that angle. Now the problem is if we go on the other side, you'll see, because we're turned the other way currently, this tie rod end here is now hitting up here. So it's limiting the actual angle that these cut knuckles will give us. And like I said, the purpose of those are so you don't over center. Now we have plenty of room, like the actual rack itself, like I'm not even utilizing the rack spacers right now. We probably have, you know, another ½ inch on the rack right now that we can go further into the rack. So that's a lot of angle we're losing currently. So what I want to do is drop that front end, cut those little stoppers off, and then see where our angle is. If we do have some over centering issues, or I don't like where the tie rods are hitting the lower control arms where it might cause issues, I'll probably re-weld brackets back on and just take a lot of material off, so this way they don't stop the wheels from turning as far. Because right now, honestly, like, yes, we have more angle. The input is quicker on the steering, but it's not that much more angle than what we had originally. And like I said, we're not utilizing the full rack. So if we're gonna have an angle kit, I want to make sure we have all of it. But before we go there, we remember last time we were held up because I did not have the bushings for the rear knuckles. So we got those in. These are just GK Tech ones. They come in sets of 2, so you can buy 2, you just need 2. So for the knuckles that don't have the Hikis system in them, which mine didn't, you need 3 total sets because you'll put 3 on each knuckle. So we're gonna get these in. Also, before we get those in, I wanna get the bushings in the subframe. So if you guys remember, I threw those in the freezer. They've been freezing for probably like 5 days, if not more at this point. So I wanna start there, get that over, because once we do that, we can flip this over and then bolt up the knuckles once we have the bushings on, throw the hubs and stuff on the knuckles while they're off, and then we can put everything together and then slide it on their car, slide it up, bolt it to the car, and then that, after that's done, you know, I'll rehook up all the brakes, all that good stuff, and then the rear is complete. That shouldn't, you know, that should be a pretty quick process. So I want to bang all that out, so that's done. We can move on from there. If you guys remember too, tie rods are too short, so we got the longer tie rods. Now what these are, I'll give you the part number. So they are EV427. EV427. Now, those are, if I'm not mistaken, they're like 06 to 08 or something like that, maximum tie rods. If you look up the part number, it'll come up. So I was actually recommended these by a couple of my friends at a drift event last year, or maybe the beginning of this year. They were telling me about them because they're super cheap. You can get them at Advanced Auto Parts. I order those off Amazon. They're like 20 bucks. At Advanced Auto Parts, you can get them pretty much at any Advance. So if you ever bend a tie rod or whatever, when you're at a track, it's easy to go get, which is sick. But they're like maybe 40 bucks or something for the Dorman or the Moog, whatever they are. And then obviously you guys know we run the GK Tech outer tie rods, so we have that adjustment. But if you want, with this exact angle kit, talk to Villains too, they also recommended these, so that's what sealed the deal. I was like, all right, Villains recommends these. Had a couple of homies tell me that these are the way to go, so I'm like, all right, definitely ordering these. And you can also run the outer tie rods for the same car. I don't remember the part number on that one, but you can run those outer tie rods. But since we have the GK Tech Heim joint ones, we're gonna obviously just stick with those because I can put different size ends on there and get it kind of fine-tuned. So we're still gonna obviously utilize ours, but if you guys wanted like a cheaper, easier option, you know, if things break on track, you can go run to your parts store, get them relatively cheap and easy. You can run the tie rod ends that match this. So this is it's the same exact thread pitch size as the S14 had, but just longer. So that's what we needed. But now that you guys are caught up, let's get these freaking bushings in here and get this subframe in the car, because then that's one big ticket item that is done. And we get to see what it looks like on their car, because it's going to look pretty sweet. Now, it's just me today, so I don't have anyone else's extra hands to film. So before I get into it, the game plan is pull one at a time out of the freezer, get it in there. So I've been told that you just need to freeze them. They should go in there relatively easy. So we're going to try that off the rip. We're going to do one at a time. I'm going to pull one out of the freezer, so obviously the other ones stay cold. bring it in here, drop it in. Now I use Never Seez on all these things just so it creates a barrier for corrosion. And then also when you do go to do this later for whatever reason, they come out easier. Because if you don't, they're pretty much gonna weld themselves in. Probably start with this front one, so I'm gonna get fully set up, you know, put a piece of wood down or whatever. And we'll start with one, like I said, hopefully it goes in just as smooth as everyone says. And if it doesn't, I brought a heat gun, so this way I can put heat on the subframe, and then that will help make the area that the bushings go in a little bit bigger from the heat, and then that in conjunction with the subframe bushings being cold, being smaller, they should slide in really, really easy at that point. But I'm gonna try not heating up first, just see how it works, and then hopefully each one goes in nice and smooth. Well, the truth, this thing is ice cold, so hopefully it goes in as planned. We'll see. Oh yeah, that was way easier than when I did this to the other subframe just outside. When I did that to the other subframe, it took forever to get those in, so that was sick. And this one, honestly, the edge is a little on them, so I thought that was gonna give me more issues, but that went right in, so that was sick. One thing too that you guys know, that the insides of these are not powder coated. Do not get the insides powder coated because that will probably cause issues. My guy just taped those off or whatever, and then I coated them with Never Seez, like I said, so it wouldn't rust. But yeah, that went in way easy, so we're just gonna keep banging these out. Got 3 more to do.
Все относительно. Зависит от времени и места. Любовь и дружба. Жизнь и смерть. Все субъективно. Правильное, неправильное, добро и зло.
Alright, so now that we got the subframe ready, next thing we gotta tackle is getting these all ready. So these, we did powder coat the inside. There should be play. Yep, nice and easy. So what makes these nice is, I don't know if all companies do this, but I know GK Tech obviously does. So they split the poly bushing, because obviously poly can be pretty stiff. So pretty much what you do is once you get these things split, there we go. Alright, so yeah, once you get these split, you push one in either end. You can put some grease on there if you want. I'm not, because they're going in nice and easy. So get these bad boys bottomed out. And then what you do want to do is put grease on the shaft that goes in there. So realistically, your best bet would be have one of those little grease tubs that you get, like for like brakes pretty much, where it has a stick, but I just have a grease gun, so apply it by finger, get it a little dirty. Let's coat the whole thing so it slides in easy. Most likely I won't be able to do this by hand, so I'll have to just put it in the vise and kind of squeeze it together. Yeah, let's see if we can get this in by hand, but most likely not. It's definitely a little too stiff for hand, so bring it over here to the vise, squeeze her in there. I ain't got the best vise of this shop either, so, but it'll get the job done. Then just kind of snug it, and it should bottom itself out and make it pretty even throughout both of them. Yeah, wipe off that grease That's coming out. And that's one poly inserted. So you can see we have 3 areas on this. The lower ball joint, if you were to have a Hikis, would be right here, but we just have a shank. So, well, there is a ball joint on, my bad, this is where Hikis hooks up. So I think Hikis is a ball joint too, but it's different than this. It'll be more open. It's like a pressed in ball joint or something. So the OEM has a ball joint hooked to the lower control arm, but I have the GK Tech lower control arm, so it's just a shank that slides through there. But that's obviously we don't touch, so we just got 2 more to do on this one. Did the rest of the bushings. I didn't film it because obviously simple, but we got everything bolted up. Now, one thing I want to show you is obviously how sick this looks. But as well, one little thing I learned from working with Matt Bystrack is they label their subframes with paint markers. So this way, when you're going under there, bolt check-in, or you know, if you're drifting and need to change something quick, you know exactly what to grab instead of, you know, guessing and trying to remember. Because sometimes every bolt's a little different. Like mainly it's all 19s and 17s in the rear, but obviously like the bottom one for the ball joint, the shank, that's 22. And then I have this random one because all it has 16. So that helps a lot, honestly, with going under there, because I hate bolt checking. You got to grab so many different tools, and then you don't have the right ones and you're guessing. So when you can just look up and have like the tools to the side and just grab them and be able to just throw them up there and know exactly, you know. So like I said, trying to fit a bunch of different ones and not being the right size and just taking a bunch of time because there's a lot of bolts to check. This just makes it way easier. It doesn't look as pretty, obviously, but when it comes to being effective, we like it. So really next step now, the only thing I don't have bolted up is the upper camber arms because the suspension needs to droop a little bit for them to fit right. So pretty much what we got to do is get this thing on the jack, slide it under there. Where the subframe mounts to the chassis, there are little pretty much shanks as well that come down on an S chassis. But what I like to do is throw some never sees on them. So once again, if you ever have to take the subframe out or work on it, blah, 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 it comes out a lot easier than just, you know, the bare factory stuff. So I'm going to throw that on. And then we're going to get this thing in here and get this all buttoned up back here so we can move on to the front. And just like that, we're in. Oh, it looks good. It looks good. Is it gonna work good? Is it gonna make my car faster? Is it gonna handle better? All those things. I don't think so, but it looks cool. Oh, so we got everything labeled. Everything's in, everything's tightened. So we should be completely done in the rear. Trying to think if I did anything that you guys should kind of know, but not really. It's all good. I've been dragging ass today. Super, I don't know, tired / out of it. Moving like a goddamn snail, but happy that's in. We're probably gonna get started on the front right now. I'm gonna show you guys what I'm talking about, why it's limiting my steering currently and what we need to kind of move and get rid of. So the measurement we're gonna take to determine if I gotta take this stuff off is the lower control arm. Now, why we're measuring it is because obviously I have the adjustables there and I have extended them. I think when I first did it, I did it like a ½ inch or an inch longer. So if you guys can see this, right? This is our limiting factor right now. The end of this tie rod is hitting the bump stop of this lower control arm. Now, if you come back to the rack here, you see we have a ton of more room to go in. Like that will go all the way into there to where this fat piece bottoms out. So, I mean, we got, that might almost be about an inch more. And obviously it's the same on the other side. So that's a lot of room that we can still get more angle. The only problem with that is obviously further we go, the closer we're gonna get to the frame rails. And then same with this tension rod, because I popped off the last remainder shim, hoping to get us far enough, but it definitely is further. But we still got plenty of room on the rack. Now I'm a little torn because, as you guys can see, I don't have that much room. We do have clearance now. I'm probably super tight in here, like you can see here, that's already super tight, which I think I might only gain more angle. Or I might get more when we're compressed, and like the more angle I get, it might clear it up a little bit. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure that's just gonna rub heavy, so that's gotta be hidden a lot more. Now, I can leave it, like this isn't bad, but we still got a lot more rack to use. This is definitely more angle than before, for sure. It's quicker on the wheel, so we're gonna compare what that side with the spacer looks like when I turn that way versus this side and kind of make a judgment call there. You see here, like, I mean, that's decent angle out of this freaking thing, honestly. For a stock girl, stock KA. Let's check out what this side's looking like. There's not a shitload, but let's see what the clearance looks like up here. Yeah, so we still have plenty of clearance there with that. Let's see. Now, we turn this one this way. Yeah, I don't know if taking that out is helping us too much. Let's see. I have to watch the video and see if it looks like it's more or not. So I took some screenshots of the video, all that good stuff, trying to see if there was a difference side to side. Taking that last bit of spacer out did absolutely nothing, so we're gonna cut that out. We're gonna cut the whole block out. The rack's probably gonna over center, so I'm probably gonna have to weld it back in, so it's gonna be more of a project than I'd like to deal with. I'm probably not gonna do it tonight, but next time we're in the shop, I will do it. So this is gonna most likely be a 2-part video. I'm gonna go as far as I want to tonight. Like I said, I'm shot, so I just kind of want to get out of here. I've been dragging bad, but we're gonna finish up. I'm gonna cut this out. I have a quick tool instead of trying to use a grinder and grinder wheel. I have this like little air cutter thingy that should be able to buzz through there real quick, so we can at least see how much more angle it gets and kind of at least let that be some motivation or something. But yeah, whatever I don't finish tonight, we're just gonna start this video right back after, probably over this weekend, and finish it up and get this thing ready to get aligned. Alright, so we got this piece out. I'm telling you guys, these things are game changer. Not even really good to be getting into like that type of an area with this, but still ripped right through this. I did mess up though. I kind of cut my lower control arm a little bit. Probably gonna have to throw a bead of weld on there, which isn't too big of a deal. I can kind of get in there right now. So if I take the grinder and clean these two areas up, you know, drop this tie rod out of the way because we got to change them anyway, clean those areas up real good, throw a weld on there, that thing's going to be perfect. Now, we're still not getting all the room out of the rack, but I think it's as much as I need for this season with this horsepower. Over the winter, I'll probably modify some more, get a different set of lower control arms like FDF or something that's meant to go a little bit further. And then, because I'm going to have to modify the whole firewall in this car to get that far anyway. But even right now, we banged the crap out of all these areas, and we were super close to it before, and now we're even closer, obviously. This area we're super close to, so we're almost touching in the air. So obviously under compression, we're probably gonna get even closer, and I'm probably gonna have an issue with that and have to bang it out more once we test the car. But show you guys the angle this baby's got. Boom. So I think we're good there. I don't think we need much more, at least for now. I think this is gonna be a huge, huge increase on what I'm used to. I might honestly hate it with the stock power. Just so you guys can see it kind of down here and see the same angles you're seeing before. We cut that off. I still got to clean that up a little bit, but now it's allowing the tie rod end to go all the way and tap right there. So we're even gonna get a hair more once I clean that up. And as you can see, we still got more in the rack to go. But like I said, for now, you can see how close this is. Like that's ow, fucker. That's definitely gonna be a problem. Like I can't even get my finger in there. So I'm gonna definitely have to massage this even more than it already is, because we're definitely rubbing there, but at least we're not touching the frame, but we're getting close. All right, so measured our lower control arms, but apparently 380 millimeters. So OEM is 350 millimeters, which I don't know what that is in inches. But you add on our 30 that we were told to put on, that gets us to 380 millimeters. That converted over to inches is like 14.961 or some shit. So pretty much 15 inches. Right now we're at 14. So that means we have a whole inch to extend the lower control arms out. Not only should that give us some more clearance, that's going to give us a larger track width. Pretty much, I do got to pull these out. At this point, might as well just pull everything out, get it out of the way. I can clean and fix that one place I cut too far deep, and then clean up those brackets I cut off really well, get the measurements on the bench correct, and then slap everything back in. So we are back to finish this S13 up tonight. So it's been crazy hot during the day in Jersey. It's been like 95 degrees and humid, and it's just been miserable. I was outside all day today, but I did have some good energy. I've been having caffeine today, so I feel good. And I was like, you know what? Let me go pull an all-nighter tonight. I've always loved working at night. It's just way less distractions. Nobody's hitting you up. Nobody's calling you. I'm going to start pulling everything off the lower suspension real quick. Get that lower control arm off, and we'll get to work. All right, so we got the first lower control arm out of the car. So I'm going to go over like what we're going to change measurement-wise. I double-checked online to make sure that we're going to extend it the right amount. So here's our current 14 inches. So I measured from the center of this little heim here, and then to what I deem center of where this ball joint kind of is. So we're at 14. OEM is 13.7. Now, the goal, so what Villains told me, is 30 mils more than OEM, which is right here. So 380 millimeters total, which would actually be 14.967 or some shit. So 15, we're close enough. That's a whole inch longer than we are currently. And that should give us a lot more track width. Will actually give us more clearance and then more stability in the front. A little bit bigger scrub radius. So it should actually change the car pretty drastically in the front. So I'm kind of excited because technically we're pretty much OEM. I think I went a 1/4 inch longer, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe an 1/8 inch. And then this is where I messed up, cut through. It's actually not as bad as I thought, but we're still going to clean that up and throw a weld in there just to be safe. And then we're going to trim all this off, the rest of it with a grinder and a flap disc. Get that baby ready. Then we'll throw this one back in and then go on to the other side. Now, one thing I forgot to show you guys is the comparison of the S14 tie rods compared to the Maxima tie rods. I had them both out and I shot something for Instagram, but I forgot to do it here. So I'll kind of mock it up in the car and show you guys what's up. Line these guys up. That's the difference. I mean, there's a drastic difference between these two. They're same thickness, like I said, same thread pitch, obviously on both like ends as the S14. So goes right into S13 rack, no problem. Goes right to the S14 thread pitch and size end links. And now, obviously, they're a good bit longer. So how we're going to compensate is I have these different size ends from GK Tech. So you can see what was originally in there. We had a medium length and a long length. I have a whole box full of different ones. So we'll most likely run the shorties, which I don't even see in here. Oh wait, these are the shorties. Okay, I thought that said medium. But yeah, so we'll probably run the shorties on most likely both sides, or at least the passenger side, because that has the GK Tech offset spacer. On the driver side, it just uses a rack spacer, like a little one, so you just get less thread engagement into the rack, but the other side has a whole adapter in it, so that like pushes the tie rod out a lot further. So that side we're definitely gonna have to use a shorty. I'm hoping that we don't have to cut the tie rod at all, but they might both get shorties. We'll see how it works out. First though, I want to get both lower control arms done, bolted back in the car, and then we'll mess with that after, because that will change a lot too, because we're about to push this out a whole inch. So that's actually going to save us. We definitely won't have to cut them, because that's a big game changer. So let's get this thing all adjusted, get back in the car. God damn.
Waking up, good sky, tomorrow.
So we got the bump stop completely removed. So that should give us the last little bit of angle that we can get out of this thing. And then this is the good old cut I sent through her. So gonna just throw some welds in there. I'm hoping this is steel. We gotta check that before we do this. But like I said, it's really not that bad. This might be a solid piece. And this kind of doesn't even look like steel, but we'll see if it's a magnet or not. Moment of truth. Ooh, cool. We can weld to it. I'm just gonna turn this machine as high as it can go on 120 because I don't have the 240 welded up yet. And we're just gonna melt that baby up right there. So now that it's welded up, cleaned up a little bit just on the edge to make sure that our tie rod doesn't interfere with that at all, but I don't really have a sanding disc small enough to get in there and really clean it up. I probably should have went a little bit slower on that weld to really sink it in more. It is a thick piece, but you know, I was more like, I don't want to warp this. I doubt that would happen, but I'd rather not risk it. So I decided, I know originally I said I was going to do one side at a time, but I decided it's probably smarter to have both out at the same time. So this way I can make sure the measurements are the same and then both sides are good. So I don't have to take this back out in the future. So I'm just going to clean this thing up, throw some quick paint on it. I don't have any cool ass eBay blue, but probably just throw some steel on it or something and call that a day for there. And then we'll pop off the other side, do the same thing, line her up on the bench, cut all that bull crap off, and we can get this thing back together. Come on, baby. So I end up mushrooming the one nut onto that ball joint, trying to get it out. That's why you saw me grinding the stud, because after I mushroomed the nut, took the nut off, had to keep hammering the stud, which then ended up mushrooming the stud itself. So then all the threads were messed up. So I think I cleaned it enough to get it on there, but now I need to try and find another bolt or nut. And of course, I don't know where I'd get one of these ball joints. I don't know if they're a common size or if they're gonna be a pain in the ass to find if I do mess it up. But also, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, so it's not like I could go anywhere and get it anyway. So I'm hoping I have a nut like this, and this isn't gonna hold us up from completing this car tonight, because that would be very annoying. We got both of them all lined up exactly the same, both painted, drying. I'm gonna throw them in the car. I did order those, they're called Castle nuts. I ordered them off Amazon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the good one on the driver's side, send it all the way, tighten it, because then it should stay in the knuckle, and I could take that nut off and then put it on the passenger side and suck it in, so then both will be on tonight. So that's what I'm going to try, and then this way we could still set up the car and stuff. One thing I did realize though, because we moved these so much further out, my tension rod brackets are going to be way shorter than what they're going to need to be, so I might have to lengthen those. Or we might get away with just leaving them in now. My caster is going to probably be wild. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So now that we got everything bolted up, ready to go in the front end, I already got the rack centered. I'm going to get to show you what we get to do with the GK Tech kit. So as I said before, there's a bunch of different lengths. So like this one's the longest one, medium one. Now, once you center your rack, you can then figure out kind of by eye what size you need. So now we do have a problem. If you look at the wheel, it's got a little bit of toe out, maybe kind of zeroed, but like, let's see. Let's just say that's like pretty much where we need to be. Maybe a little bit less, right? Let's just give ourselves some more room. So like, that's straight. Now, when I put this here on, you can already see that these are overlapping. Now that's a problem because obviously we have that sleeve. These both gotta go in either end. So if these guys are already touching, then that's no good regardless of how small of the piece we put on. So the only option I really have to get it done tonight is to cut off threads on both of these, but then there's not gonna be much thread left. So that's a problem, at least on the driver's side. Now, this is highly annoying because one, I Loctited these two tie rods in, and two, this GK Tech kit is not cheap. It's like $200 and something. So I have like two options. I either get new tie rods, which is probably what I need to do, or I can get the maximum tie rod ends. Now what that will allow me to do is, because you don't have two threaded ends going to one, you just have a female and male end, which means we can suck that baby down pretty much almost all the way to here, you know. But even if we do need to trim this back and get further into that end link, we can. So unfortunately, this kind of looks like a wash tonight, which is annoying. So it's a little bright for you guys, but you can see an OEM S14. So this is the longer side because of that big spacer. OEM S14 is all the way to the tip, 268 millimeters. So that'll be right before the 27 there. So right before the 27, we got a hair bit of room. Worst comes to worst, I could trim some off, but the small end from the GK Tech kit should go over both, and I have plenty of engagement, which means this side, we can get away with it. We'll go check the other side. The short probably be too short. You might be able to get away with it, but either way, you want obviously some thread engagement in there. So I could go I'm probably gonna go the long because I'll be safer, but if we need to, we could go with the medium one. So unfortunately, we're not gonna get the car completed, but one thing I want to do real quick is I want to bolt on at least one wheel and see how far this track width looks on this car before we call it end of the night, just because we got to end on some sort of note. I'm pretty excited to see how wide this thing's about to be. I think it's... God damn. Oh yeah. So right now the caster is way far forward because we extended those lower control arms so much. So when we get alignment, hopefully we won't have hitting issues here, or when we have to trim and probably make my kit look like trash, but it is what it is. But yeah, this thing is much wider now. It's probably gonna look absolutely insane on the ground. It's gonna look like a proper drift car setup. Not that I didn't have great fitment before, but like now that's like true drift spec. So I'm super excited. And like I said, this is probably gonna completely change how the car feels. This is my first time really like messing with the setup and kind of following what other people do. Like the tried and true setups, usually I've just been kind of like basing things off of style and then also making it work. And it's felt great so far, but I am very excited to kind of try like a tried and true setup, something that people say this is how these cars handle best. Obviously still don't have the power, but with the cut knuckle and then the extended lowers now with the heavy offset, it's gonna be sweet. But other than that, I can't really do much more on the cars tonight, unfortunately. So I ordered the tie rods. They'll be here tomorrow. Probably come back Sunday, finish the car. But all right, I know I said I was gonna finish this vlog, but screw that. I want to finish this car on this vlog and have it all done and on the ground tonight. So we're back again in the shop for another late night. We can pull all night if we need to. Now, you guys saw, obviously, those tie rods weren't working, right? So then I ordered tie rods from Amazon, S14s, and this is what we got. So as soon as I opened this box last night, they're supposed to be here a day ago, but as soon as I opened this last night, I was like, nah, there's no way that's correct. So I had a feeling they were bad. So luckily, hit up the boy, Matt Bostrack, and he has an S chassis, S13, so I knew he would have some goodies. And I knew he would have some GK Tech. So GK Tech is this one here, right? So what they do is you can order a medium length or long length. This is a long one. And what it allows you to do is, you know, get whatever length you need, and then you can cut it because the threads are all the way down here. So these are nice to have. But what he also has, some PBMs. Now these PBMs look like the S14 ones that we needed. So I have the Maxima ones, as you guys know, in there that are too long. These are super nice. They're a little bit expensive, but we should be able to slap these in. Only way to find out is to get started. But we're going to get this card on the ground tonight, ready for alignment. That's what we're doing. It's already like 10 o'clock at night, so let's get after it. Alright, so I'm trying to do this using one hand. But as you guys can see, this is about where they're going to sit in. Now, like I said, I probably don't need to use the steering rack spacers because I'm not even utilizing the full length of the rack currently. We end up hitting the bump stops beforehand. And you can see, you know, these ones are a little bit shorter, and that would be probably just about enough currently where we would get what we need out of these. You know, with maximum thread engagement, we couldn't go much closer, but right now the wheel is kind of towed in, or towed out, whatever. So this should be pretty much good as it is. Yeah, so let's take a look at this. These PBM already have an offset built into them. And this is currently the offset spacer that's on this side. So these are already built in, which is kind of sick. All right, so this is what I was hoping for, right? So we got this just temporary up. I'll use a different one that gets more thread engagement on this side, but just for now, so I can see, right? That's obviously not gonna move, but right now we are bottomed out on the control arm. That's a max. Let's put her in 0.5 again. Okay, maybe not. All right, whatever. But yeah, that's max angle. As far as the car will go this way. And we're still not all the way in the rack yet. So that's what I wanted to see. We don't need to utilize, this massive ass steering rack spacer because we're not even fully using all the rack as it is before we bottom out here. Now I'm gonna get the correct size for this real quick from the GK Tech kit and then throw that in. The one thing I am gonna have to do though is I'm pretty sure now, because this offset is much, much different compared to that offset. Now my rack isn't centered anymore, so I'm gonna have to re-center my rack, measure it, get both of these sides equal here to here, the travel point, and then I'm gonna have to move my steering wheel, whether I take it off the splines or hopefully I could just unscrew it from the quick release and turn it, but usually it doesn't work out that way. We'll see though, but that's great. So the PBM ones, S14, work with my setup with the GK Tech Hymens and their little fucking kit. And just a normal stock move forward rack, blah, blah, blah. S14 is your move. Always. I want to throw some Loctite on these guys. I've had tie rods and tie rod spacers loosen up on me so many times. It's not even funny. So throw a good amount of Loctite on there, because hopefully, if you're not me and you do this one time and not have to keep changing things, you won't have to take them back out. But I've had to break Loctite seals like 4 times already, so if you guys remember earlier, my rack was centered at 79 millimeters. Now it's centered at 76 millimeters, so that's 3 millimeters on each side, right, of engagement that we have lost with these tie rods. Now, that's the one cool thing about the GK Tech kit. I'll say this, not laying under the car, so you guys can actually see my face. But that is the one cool thing about the GK Tech kit, and why, honestly, my car did have as much angle as it did with stock knuckles, is because those offset steering rack spacers that are not, I keep saying offset, but these here, these steering rack spacers do have a crazy amount of extra travel for the rack. So like I just said, we just lost 6 millimeters of travel on the rack. So if I had enough clearance to turn further with this kit, I would want something like this that's going to give me more travel on my rack, because then you get every little bit of angle that you can. But like I said, since I'm not utilizing all my rack as it is, there's no point in running these. Now, when I change setups down the line, maybe we'll throw these back in. Obviously, I'll probably have to change tie rod setups. I think these tie rods should work with those. Worst comes to worst, we'll have to run something different. But for now, we got those in. I'll show you guys how far my wheels off. So that's how far my wheels off. And of course, the center hole is not the center hole. Right now, if I had a Grip Royal, maybe this is just my sign to get a Grip Royal wheel. Oh my God, guys. That might be perfectly centered for a Grip Royal. Yo, drop a comment if you think I should just order a new steering wheel and go Grip Royal, because they have like, instead of the middle bolt being the center, they're like offset. So it's like that I would be able to center a Grip Royal wheel on. So if you guys think I should just get a different wheel and leave it as is, I'll leave it for now. Comment below, let me know, because then I get fresh wheel, not have to move nothing. But yeah, rack center now. So now we're going to choose what tie rod ends we want. Now that, you know, we know where we are centered, 76mm on each side is where we're going to set from now on. And now these are where these come into play, because we have 3 different sizes to get our best length now. So based off this side and these Heims, GK Tech Heims are so tight for some reason, but regardless, so based off where we're at now, we're probably a little bit further than an 1/8 inch on each side. That's probably like closer, but you guys can see we're almost touching. So most likely, you want at least 15mm on each side. I don't have the measuring tape down here. I mean, that's gotta be at least 15mm. That's 76mm, right? Show you guys in a second, but I'm now, because the car is much wider, gonna be running into hitting the fender with the tire when we turn in. Now, because this is a rep kit, both sides didn't fit exactly the same, so I actually had to make a bracket out of spring steel on this side, which is nice because it's flexible and blah blah blah. But I don't know about this side yet, but I'm sure it's gonna be an issue. We are now hitting here because we are so much wider, but we also have a lot more caster. I tried to compensate for it. I got it back to where I thought it would be, but maybe I'm still completely off, or maybe it's just the fact that we are literally 1 inch wider on either side. That clearance is now an issue. So I do want to make brackets. Tom ended up giving me a nice piece of aluminum where it's thin, so if I get into a wreck or anyone hits me, it'll bend and break out of the way. I just gotta flatten either end and make a bracket. I think I'm gonna trim up this bumper, throw it on, see how well it fits, because as you guys know, that thing was all mangled. I haven't put it on the car yet. Now those new brackets will help push that out further, which we're gonna need too, because that obviously mounts up right where the wheel will be hitting. So we might have to do some extra trimming, or hopefully the bracket gets out far enough. But I do need to do some pop riveting and clean up that bumper anyway, throw it on just to make sure it fits good. So I think what I want to do now, get the front wheels on, at least 2 lug nuts in, get the front wheels on, get it eyeballed aligned, and then we'll get this car finally on the ground again and kind of see how she looks. So currently driver's side, I feel like looks pretty close, but we're definitely pretty towed out on this side. And of course, this is the side I tightened down, so straighten that baby out real quick. But for you guys to see, right, this is our problem right now. So you guys see, boom, that's our problem. Now, pretty easy solution. We just got to pump this out more. If this holds out to like here with the bracket, this will get us all the clearance we need. We'll just pass it. But as you guys can see, the wheel is pretty far forward in the wheel well, which does give us clearance in the back on the firewall, which is good. Helps with self-steer. Obviously, there's a point of diminishing return where you like too far forward is just kind of hurting you. So I just don't know where it's at right now. So we might save some room going back, but I think either way, if I clearance it like this, it won't look bad. And, you know, it'll just give us more clearance once this is back further. The one thing is this is hitting that bad and we're not even on the ground yet. So as soon as we get this car on the ground, like we might be running into issues even up here once this thing's on the ground and under compression, because we are a good bit wider. So that all might be an issue. Honestly, maybe something I got to address at a later date. but we'll see. I don't know. Let's get this straightened out first and we'll move on to the next thing. Oh, baby. Clearance wise, we might be good. I don't know. Probably kind of close with hitting bumps and stuff. Most likely it's probably going to be an issue, especially street driving. If we take camber out, which Moose might because there definitely is a good amount of camber now, probably will be an issue. So when that comes to play, obviously this is very much an issue. So I'm hoping pop this out like this with a bracket, kind of push it in here, and that'll hold the bumper and the fender out like this, and we'll have our clearance. But I'm kind of hoping we don't have to raise the car. If we do raise the car, Moose will probably be happy, but it looks sick right now. God damn. Well, you guys saw in the B-roll, when we got to the passenger side, it's pretty much sitting on the fender currently. So we're gonna definitely have to raise the car a little bit. Kind of sucks, kind of baller how it is now. A little upset about that. But the front end is definitely lower, and I'm guessing that's actually, I know exactly why it's lower. So what happens is when we pushed out the rear, right, your coil's like, our coil originally was like this. As we pushed out the rear, you're obviously lowering and lowering because you're taking that, whatever measurement this was and putting on an angle, which is eating up that. So we did lower the front end of this car actually quite a bit now that I think about it. So realistically, we probably just got to raise it back. Because I was looking at it and it looks like it's sitting there raking forward. I was like, damn, really? That, like, all we did was push the lower control arms out. And then I was thinking wheel ratio, which still could play a role, which wheel ratio is the point in which your shock is mounted, and as close as it gets to the wheel. So the further away it is from the wheel, technically the larger the ratio, which means the softer the spring rate, which will allow more sag. Now, I don't know because obviously the bottom mount didn't change anything. It's still hooked the knuckle itself in the front. I don't know if the ratio changes from where the front is, like the top of the coilover in the strut tower in comparison to where the knuckle is. I don't know if that affects wheel ratio. I would assume it would. So possibly we have a little extra sag, plus the fact that we just took that coil and went like this to this. So 8 up. So yeah, the car is definitely sitting lower. To raise it or not to raise it? I don't know. I'll have to think about it. So I gotta finish my energy drink and then we'll go from there. So now what I recommend for doing this is, obviously, if we're gonna work on the front, jack up the front, take one wheel off, take your 2 bolts out of the strut, pick out how many turns you want to do, set it back down, and then see if you're kind of within that ride height. So I just did that real quick, and I put 4 extra screws down to get us 4 screws higher, and it looks like it did absolutely nothing. So now I know I could probably put like maybe 5 or 6 in there. I might just do 4 again, see how much of a difference it makes. Just got to double check to make sure my math's correct. Yeah, if I screw down, it should go up. Yeah. So it should have, I put 4 screws down. I don't know how many inches that is or whatever. Honestly, I'll probably do 6 this time because, like I said, I did 4 and it barely looks any different. And we got a good amount higher we need to go. So yeah, that's just like the quickest way, because then once you find out how many screws you need to go up total, I did 4 last time, I do 6 now. That's 10 screws I got to match on the other side. Obviously, the ride height won't look exactly perfect when you're only doing one side because one side will be higher than the other. But it'll get you in the ballpark. So this way, you're not going back and forth, putting wheels back on and off on both sides, just doing it on one side. I'm leaving the nuts off the bolts on the coil that I'm working on. This way it could just be a quicker adjustment. I'll show you guys real quick what that looked like. So I just got these in here without the nuts. I need the gun to get them out because it's a little tight with the powder. This is already loose, ready to go. And like I said, we're gonna screw it another 6 down. So it'll be 10 total screws to raise the car up. See where that gets us. Two, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So as you can see, we're lengthening the entire body pretty much. So we're taking this piece, the mount, and going down with it, which is gonna create a larger gap from tire to fender. And then we're gonna see how that one looks. What's crazy to me is, I mean, yeah, I guess there's a little bit more room there, but it's still barely a difference. We're 10 screws higher right now. I feel like we're barely higher than before. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go 5 more on this side. 5 more on this side, so it's 15 total screws. And then match on the other side. And kind of, I don't know, probably use that as a starting point. Because, I mean, right now my rockers look pretty level. Usually that's kind of how the car is. I don't want to go too high in the front either, which I do kind of like that. But the car doesn't make enough power to get through that kind of grip level because we'll be putting more pressure on the rear. And then when I run the smaller tires in the rear, because stock KA, so we don't run those, we do rake back already a little bit. So definitely went up. I think another 5. Get her at 15 total. And then we'll match the other side, see what we're looking like. This side, as you guys saw, completely touching. So I got it pretty much where I'm happy with. Now, like I said, this kit is a rep kit, so it doesn't fit the best. It's been through its paces. So this side always sat a little bit higher. So we got some good clearance on this side. I really don't see us having too many rubbing issues on this side. I was jumping up and down on the bumper. Really wasn't doing anything, so I feel like that isn't gonna happen like any further than 200 pounds jumping on the bumper right there. Like, this shouldn't travel really any further than that. Now, it smells like a skunk outside. Now we come to this side and it's a little bit closer, but like I said, most likely we're probably gonna take a little bit of caster out of it, so that'll get us back in this arch a little bit further, as well as I'm gonna make a bracket here, and worst comes to worst, I'll rub through a little bit, you know, make some clearance. Worst comes to worst, I'll have to raise it again maybe, or we'll see kind of what happens. But as of right now, I'm gonna button this up. Pretty happy with the ride height currently. Definitely in a much better spot because it was low before. If we take a look at the side skirts now, pretty damn level. Literally smells like a skunk out here, so we're gonna shut this just in case a skunky tries to come and get us. So I ended up going 2 more screws just for safe measures. Now, the car still has to settle. If you guys know, like coilovers, when you jack them up and then put them back down, usually they have to settle after you drive them a little bit. So the rear will be a little bit lower, the front will be a little bit lower. We are kinda raking to the back a little bit. But for now, it definitely gave us a lot better clearance. Definitely on this side. This side I shouldn't have to worry about anything. Even on this side, I think we should be completely fine. It looks good. Still looks really aggressive. So for now, we got ride height done. Cool. That's one issue done. We're going to get started on making these brackets. So since I don't have the front bumper on now, I think if I can get these brackets in and push the front bumper out far, or the front fenders out far enough to where they're not rubbing with the bumper off. Once we put the bumper on, because the bumper connects to that same area that hits, I think we should be good. Like I said, we probably might have to grind away some of the inside a little bit, but since everything's out of the way, we'll get these brackets made first. Now, like I showed you guys earlier, I have this thin aluminum that Tom gave us. So pretty much what I'm going to do is measure. I'll show you guys on the spring steel what I did there. So we have this little angle here. We have the spring steel. Got a connecting point. I don't really have that same connecting point on that side, so we'll have to see what I can do. What I'll do is take a measurement from like this to that. Now I'll probably take this off and then push it out as far as I want, get a measurement of it, cut a piece of pipe, and make it happen, see how well it works. So we'll get started on that process first. See how far we get it. Definitely has to move over pretty damn far. So, should be interesting. So I'm gonna go just inside of each mark. So this way it gives us a longer shaft here that's gonna push the fender out a little bit more compared to covering the mark. And that, even with the shitty ass vice, been super easy. Hell yeah. I probably should have cleaned up the edges first, but whatever, we'll clean up after. All right, cool. We're not going to start with a full 90. We're going to start with a slight bend because I'm not really sure what I'll need. And it kind of sounds like it's cracking, so that's always good. I probably should heat this first, but maybe it's good. Probably start with something like that, honestly. Now, we'll bend this top, see if we're there. Now, this isn't supposed to be sturdy. It's supposed to just hold that out. And like I said, if anything happens, like I get hit there, I crash, I want that to collapse. I don't want a rod pushing through the fender or something stupid. So maybe this probably isn't the best material, but it's what we found at Tom's, so we'll make it work for now. This side, we're just crimping an inch. And we're gonna keep it flat because this is the side that will connect to the fender. All right, so this is what we got going on so far. That's the piece we mounted to the frame. Now, this is a piece that's got to come up here. So, as you can see, we're a little long. We already have some room here because I just disconnected this mount now that we're not going to need this because this is bolted to the bracket here. That's what was holding us here. But obviously, we want this sturdy and not flopping around, catching a tire. So, this will be the new mount. But, like I said, we're a little long. So, the goal is to bend this metal piece up here in the fender, which I should probably do now. And it kind of looks like, I want a little bit more than this. So, it kind of looks like about right there. It looks pretty solid. And that's right at this line. So if I cut at that line, flatten it another inch, and then do another ½ inch inside, that should be what we need to kind of get us in the right spot here. But other than that, I'm pretty happy with it. We should clear the wheel, no problem. I hope anyway. We'll see when we turn. I don't think it should be an issue. Actually, let's test that out now before we go too far. So we got this puppy all in on one side, clears the wheel when I turn, looks cool, and it'll collapse. So we got good clearance here. I'll show you guys when we turn the wheel, once we turn power steering pump on. I had to trim down some of this edge here just so this fit in this hole because we didn't have a lot of metal to work with off the OEM fender. Like you guys saw before, bolted right there, and super sturdy, but on a good impact, easy. Like this thing, somebody leans on this, honestly, it would freaking bend. So for now, it'll work. I don't think it's the best option just because it is super easy to bend and probably break, but that's a good thing too. So now, plenty of clearance. We're gonna bang out the other side real quick. You guys kind of already saw that side's a little bit easier because we already have the spring steel. So that's got a nice 90 in the fender. Same process, we're gonna measure, cut, fold, boom, bang, and that'll be it. And then from there, we'll start messing with the bumper, but I'm starving. It's like 1 a.m. right now. So probably gonna grill up something real quick and eat. So this way I have a little bit of a brain capacity when we grind and fit the bumper. I'm hoping that thing just bolts right on, but we'll see. Obviously got pretty mangled, but I prefer not to have to do all kinds of manipulating tonight. But I am pumped how nice these are coming out, these little fenders. So we got clearance on this one as well, just barely. Now, even though we're just barely clearing, but we got clearance on both sides, I'm pumped about that. I'm pumped on how they turned out, honestly. They look pretty cool. They're lightweight. Bars almost put back together. So like I told you guys back in the vlog, when we fixed the bumper, I'll show you what it looked like, and then we're gonna trim it up real quick. So we're finally getting to that. Been working on some other things, so I haven't even focused on this, but we're here now. Now you guys can see this all hardened up like rock. This is the quick stuff we're gonna take off real quick. Like I said, it's not perfect. I knew this bumper was mangled. I wasn't worried about making it look super pretty. Like everything's messed up. I'm hoping this doesn't throw off fitment too much. But yeah, we got a lot of breakages going on. But yeah, we're gonna trim all this crazy stuff off real quick that's kind of sticking out and looks like real dog shit. In the front, we covered her in some paint match tape. Probably gonna put some more on there once it's on the car, but for now, looks better than all the holes. So what you can do is, if you're struggling like I just was, or you're in an awkward position like I am, you can give it one pump and get these things started, but they're still loose, and then get a second or third one in. Then finish them off. I think I have to re-drill for my third one here up top, but maybe not. Cool. Yeah, we're good. Now the bottom splitter that I've always rocked on this car was nothing special. It was just ABS plastic. It wasn't even ABS, it was like HB something that I ordered, and then cut it myself, kind of traced the bumper, and then added, 2 inches or whatever I added. And then, on this end here, I think I flared it out some, but I just had some stainless hardware. But next time I do this, I do it on a Camaro and use like I think they're called speed washers. So they have like a washer with a Allen head that's like recessed. So this way, when you're bottoming out and stuff on the ground, you don't wear your, contact point of where your tool goes, because these are Phillips head and pretty much all wore flat. So retightening them doesn't really work the best. So next time, definitely ordering some hardware. I'll remake this lip and stuff over the winter. But that's all buttoned up. Let's see how she fits on the car. Praying that fits good. Now let me show you guys too real quick. This will be the area of my concern right here. This is where the front of the tire rubs. I've had to cut a lot away on both these. As you can see, it rubbed here. And the reason why it concerns me, especially like this one, like if I go much further, you could already see it's touching. If we have to go any further, we're pretty much on the outside of the bumper, and then we get to the point where we start looking real botchy. Now that we're even further out with those brackets we just made, that should hold this out further. So I'm hoping, but I mean, the bumper's kind of stiff, so I don't know how much it's really going to do, especially with this bottom bracket. So that might be our next problem. Is like this one, we got plenty of meat to cut off, is what it is. But this side had barely anything, and I don't want to be cutting into like the outside, so we'll see what happens. Got going here. So damage side, not looking too hot, but I think it might have something to do with it hitting these brackets. Now, most likely what I should have probably did was mock this thing up on the car, use some self-tappers and plates or whatever, get it to fit nice, and then, start molding it. Because I already had to break some of the fiberglass because I kind of molded it in the wrong area. It didn't fit right. But it's kind of looking like this bracket here for some reason. I don't know if it's because it's just bent in the fenders or whatever. That's kind of what's really holding us up here right now. And then the next thing is clearance on these lower pieces. Probably about to be pretty crazy. I don't know why these weren't accepting the freaking bolts, but I'm just too tired to deal with this, so I just sent it straight through. Now, like I said, this is probably going to be our issue here. But I'm going to go turn it and see if we catch. Oh yeah. We're catching. Not terrible though. Not as bad as I thought we were gonna catch, so that's a good sign. That's pretty good. I don't know if you guys can hear it in the video, but that pump does not sound good anymore. I mean, I did bang it up a little bit, but yeah. I don't want to get cutting into that too much until I get the car actually lined, because if we do pull some caster back, then there's going to be no reason. That's really not that bad a side. I obviously got cut and mess around with that mount over there. But that's something we could do on another day real quick. It's definitely nowhere near 100%. I probably should have made an effort to actually, like I said, mount it on the car and then start to shape it. But she's she's in rough condition. One thing though, I did find one of these kits online for a pretty solid price. So I talked to Kid. I can go buy it. I just don't feel like making the drive down there. That being said, it's like 2, 3 in the morning. We're pretty much there. It's just figuring out that last little bit to make that bumper sit a little bit nicer and getting the car lined. So we're bringing it to our boy Moose. He's the man when it comes to setting these cars up. So I just gotta connect with him, see what day he can take the car, get it over there, and then once it's aligned, bring it back real quick this weekend. So it's Wednesday. Oh well, yeah, it's a Wednesday morning at this point. But so it's Wednesday now, and then this weekend, Saturday, Sunday, is the Legends of Drift event. So my plan was to have this car there. It's definitely gonna go there, but I obviously want to get it aligned first so I could drive it, and then fix this front bumper the rest of the way. We're really not that far off. I think I just got to trim that bracket off, trim the 2 edges, good to go. But let's get this caster done first. But we are going to vlog it. So we are going to be working for Ricky Huffman that day. We're going to be, just pit crew for him, changing tires, fueling up, and if anything breaks, help him fix it. So I'm going to get a little bit more of an insider view in the pits and stuff like that. I won't be like really probably in the stands too much. I'm going to try to get over there. I don't know what I'm going to do with the car, if I'm going to bring in the pits or just park it in like the show or something. We'll see what happens. But the goal is to get this car at least in the background of the movie, because I'd be sick. That's why it kind of sucks that it got all bashed up right before this. But yeah, we're going to end it here. This one's probably a little bit long, so hope you guys enjoy. And like I said, please let me know what you guys want to see. Give me ideas of how to film better, because I'm definitely not the best. And yeah, one thing I have not been saying, because we're new to this and I haven't even really thought about it, is remember to live limitless. Love you guys. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. You know the deal. We'll catch you on the next one.
That's 13, 14.